In this tutorial, we will create a new workflow. Our workflow will be simple. We'll create a task for a user to complete, create an if-then statement to check the values entered by a user, generate document A if our if-then statement is true, otherwise we'll generate document B, and we'll notify folks that the document has been generated. First, from Design Workflows, we'll choose Options, New Template. We'll enter the name of the workflow template, and we'll choose what parent object it applies to. In this example, we'll choose loan. Advanced users can specify a lot more information than simply the name and what it applies to. Expanding the detail section with this icon in the top left corner allows advanced users to set these values. Types and statuses are power user-driven categorization and completely optional when setting up a workflow template. Types and statuses here drive the types and status drop-down lists that end users see as they're launching a new workflow. Enforce start dates determines whether or not the system will allow users to backdate tasks. Description is simply used for power users to annotate what they're using the workflow for. Repeatability is pretty important. If it's set to 1 per parent, only one of these workflow may be launched on a parent in total. 1 active per parent means that 1 active workflow may be on a parent loan, but once it's closed, another workflow may be added. And many per parent means that many workflows bound to the same loan may exist at the same time. Labels are further power user categorization. In this example, we're simply going to click Save. Here, I've drilled down into our sample QBO workflow. Let's take a look at the options available under the Workflow Steps tab. I can add a task where a task is assigned to an end user and they have to complete it. Adding a step is a catch-all for invoking any QBO3 functionality, including interfacing with third-party systems. That will be covered in a separate tutorial. Add an if-then statement is a simple GUI that allows you to choose what fields to look at to evaluate whether a condition is true or false. Adding a polling step works very much like an if-then statement, but continues to run until the conditions are met and true. Generated document will mail merge a document and save it into the imaging system. And launching a workflow will create a child workflow from our parent workflow. In this example, we're just going to start by adding a task. When adding a task, I can choose the name of the step. In this example, we'll create a sample user task. We can choose to hard code what task is created when this workflow fires, or we can soft code that via a matrix. Using a matrix to determine which task or which document to generate when launching a workflow step will be a separate tutorial. I can choose from an existing list of tasks, or if I simply leave it as new task, this system will automatically create a new task template called sample user task, matching our workflow step. Type is power user driven categorization and completely optional. Duration is optional, but it's a good idea to put your best guess as to how long a step should take. This allows some nice reporting against users and what steps are meeting expectations and exceeding expectations. Repeatability. If you have 1, this task may occur once within the workflow. Multiple means that it will occur at least once, but users can add in additional steps. And ad hoc means that it will not automatically be added, but users can optionally add them as they see fit. Sequence is a power user convenience feature. It will automatically be calculated, and it does not necessarily drive the order in which things execute. That will be handled by dependencies, which we'll cover in a moment. Asynchronous is the best option. If you choose no, then the workflow step will be processed as the user is clicking through the system, possibly making the user wait. If tasks need to be navigated from one to the next, real time is desirable. Otherwise, asynchronous should be chosen. If the step is asynchronous, you can choose which queue to queue the step up into. This allows you to control throughput across various workflow steps. Team is the default team to assign this workflow step to. And when starting a step, you can drive a change to the parent decision or a change to the parent object's status. And you can do the same on completion. In this example, we'll keep things simple, and we're just going to create a sample user task. For demonstration purposes, we're going to segue into the task and create a question or new form element that the user will be prompted to complete. That form element will be used in our if-then statement. What I've done is open up our task template in a new tab, and under the questions tab, I'm simply going to create a simple question called generate document A. The label will be should we use document A? And the value type here will be, let's do radio buttons. And the user may choose yes or no. We'll make it required, save, and now I have a new field in the system called generate document A. I'm going to return to my workflow tab, and now I will create a new if-then statement. We will work with the field we just created, and this if-then statement will turn out to be true if the user checked the yes radio button when completing that field. Right now, the workflow is configured to run both of these steps simultaneously, but that won't work because we can't really ask the question, should we generate document A, until the user has completed their task. So we want generate document A to be dependent upon the sample user task. I will simply drag generate document A and drop it on the sample user task, and the system will ask me if I want to add this dependency. I will click OK, and now we see that generate document A will not be launched until the sample user task has been completed. Next, we're going to go ahead and generate a document. We will create a document called document A, and I will create a document, generate a document called document B. Now, I only want to create document A if generate document A is true. So I'll create a dependency, and I will do the same for document B. By default, when creating dependencies on if-then statements, the system will assume that you want the if-then statement to be true, but we can edit that. So now we will create a sample user task. Once it's completed, the system will, within milliseconds, decide whether generate document A is true or false. If generate document A turns out to be true, the workflow will then mail merge document A. Otherwise, the workflow will mail merge document B. The last thing we'll do is send an email notifying people that the document has been generated. To generate an email from the system, we're going to come in and click on Add a Step. The step will be called Email Notification, and we will use the message module to do this. The message module includes a send operation, and we will simply say, email it to my boss. The subject will be loan sample document generated, and we expect this to happen within 1 minute from the test start date. Notice that I've used curly braces around the word loan. This allows me to quickly mail merge the data coming out of the loan into the operation I'm calling here. So the subject line will actually have the loan number within it. And lastly, I will send the email notification only after the document has been generated. So this will depend on document A or document B. And there we have it. We've completed our first simple QBO workflow.